Friends, today we will be discussing about the next type of pollinating agent, that will be an abiotic agent, which will be water. So the pollination which takes place by water is called as hydrophily. Okay, pollination which takes place by water will be called as hydrophily. Now you know that water bodies will be of different types. Certain water bodies, they are having fresh water, and certain will be the marine water, that is the sea water. So the type of pollination that is going to take place in freshwater bodies and the sea water bodies will be a bit different. We will see each example in both the kinds. Now, depending upon where the pollination is taking place, whether you take a freshwater body or a sea water body, whether the pollination is taking place within the water, that means inside the water body, or on the surface, depending upon that, hydrophily can be of two types. It can either be called as hypohydrophily, or it can also be called as hypohydrogamy. And the second one is called as epihydrophily, or it can be called as epihydrogamy. Right? So these are the two types of pollinating mechanisms which will take place when water is a pollinating agent. Right? Now what do you mean by hydrophily and epihydrophily? When you talk about hypohydrophily, it means that pollination is taking place, pollination occurs within the water. That means pollination is taking place inside the water body, whereas epihydrophily is pollination occurs on the surface of water body. Pollination occurs on surface of water. So remember, epihydrophily is where again the pollinating agent will be water only, but the process of pollination is taking place on the surface of the water body. Whereas in case of hypohydrophily, again the pollinating agent is also water, but it is taking place inside the water body. So this can be two types of pollinating mechanisms when water is acting as a pollinating agent. Now, example of plants in which you can find hypohydrophily includes Zostera. It is also called as seagrass. Okay, whereas pollination which is taking place on the surface, example of epihydrophily includes Vallisneria. These are the two common examples which we will study to understand the mechanism of how it is taking place inside the water body and how it is taking place on the surface of the water body. So when you consider these Zostera or the seagrass as an example, let us consider that this is the lower part of the water body. Now this Zostera is a submerged rooted plant. It is normally a submerged rooted plant. So what happens is, here is the lower part of the water body. These are the roots of the plants, and these are the leaves of the Zostera plant. This being the surface of the water. Now as I said, Zostera is an example of hypohydrophily. So the process of pollination is going to take place within the water body, inside only. So this is the lower part of the water body, and this is the upper part, that is the surface of the water. Now, in case of Zostera, what happens is, the male and the female flowers will be present in clusters but separately on the plant. So let us consider this to be the female flower, and this will be the male flower. So the male flower is also present in clusters, and the female flower is also present in clusters. Now, when you consider the characteristics of these Zostera plant, one thing is that the pollen grains of these plants are long and ribbon shaped. Pollen grains of Zostera are long and ribbon shaped. Okay, in fact, you can say that Zostera is a plant which has the longest pollen grains in the complete, aquatic plants. So Zostera has long ribbon shaped. So if you consider the pollen grains of this, it will be like this, ribbon shaped, and they will be long. So this long ribbon shaped pollen grains, they are released from the anthers. These are the flowers present in the cluster within the water body, and inside these flowers will be the stamen present, that is the anther. And the anther is going to release this long ribbon shaped pollen grains in the water body itself. And this female flower is going to have the stigma present on it. The stigma of the female flowers again will be well exposed on the water body. Now, one thing that is to be understood here is pollen grains, they are released within the water body. That means these pollen grains, they should have a specific gravity, right? So that they do not directly sink down, or they should not have very less specific gravity so that they move on the surface, because pollination has to take place within the water body. So again, very important characteristic of the pollen of Zostera is to be remembered is that the pollen grains have same specific gravity as that of water. And as a result of the same specific gravity, these pollen grains, they will remain within the water itself. And with the flow of the water current, let us suppose that the water current is in this direction. So these pollen grains, with the help of the water current, they will come in contact with the stigma of the female flowers, and as a result, the process of fertilization will take place. Okay, transfer will be called as pollination, and once pollination has been completed, what will happen is the fertilization process will be completed. So as you see here, the pollens are being transferred from the male flower up to the female flower by water. Then this is a type of hydrophily, and the mechanism is called as hypohydrophily because the process of these pollination is taking place within the water body. Okay, again, Zostera, remember, it is a marine species. Let us now see the mechanism of how these pollination mechanism is taking place in Wellisnaria. Now, Wellisnaria is a freshwater plant. The common name for which is eelgrass. It's called as eelgrass. The leaves of these Wellisnaria are such that they appear like that of a seal. Okay. Now, so for that, again, there will be, this will be the surface, bottom layer of the water body. This is the upper surface. In case of Wellisnaria, this is a freshwater plant. The male and female plants are different. That means the dioecious condition will be present. This is the root of these are the male plants. And this is the female plant. Okay, let us consider right here. This is the male plant. And this is the female plant. Now, what happens here is, in case of Wellisnaria, the pollination is, the mechanism is epihydrophily. That means it is going to take place on the surface of the water. So, how that is going to take place on the surface of water? The male plant is, the male plant is going to have the male flowers. Again, the flowers here also are present in the form of clusters. And the female flowers are also present within these water body. Now, the difference that lies here is, in case of male flowers, right? They're directly attached to the stalk and the flowers are present in clusters. The female flowers, they are present individually. A single flower will be present, and the style of these female plants will be ribbon-like, or you can say it will be twisted. Because the pollination has to take place on the surface of water, these coiled structure of the female flower is going to take it onto the surface of the water. Now, when the pollination process has to take place, what happens is the male flowers will be actually released from these clusters. Okay, remember what is released? The male flowers. When these male flowers reach on the surface of the water body, the flowers will open up. Okay, and when they are opening up, they are actually going to attain a specific shape. Now, the flowers here, they are arranged in the form of tepals, right? A single flower has tepal-like arrangement. That means the sepals will be attached to the petals. Go back to the 5th chapter of your 11th standard, you will understand what are tepals. The sepals and petals of a flower, when they are attached together, that condition is called as tepals. So the male flower, after going onto the surface, the tepals, they are going to give it a, you can say, arrange themselves like that of a boat, and one of the tepals will be acting as a sail like that of a boat. The two tepals are going to help the flower to remain on the surface of the water, and one of the tepal is going to act as a sail, so that along with the flow of the wind, these pollen grain can move in a particular direction. And again, on that will be present the stamens. So these are the two stamens, right? This is the anther and this is the filament, and these are the tepals. Now, whenever the male flowers are opening at the same time, the female flowers will be allowed to reach on the surface of the water. At the same time, these will be uncoiled. Now, if I draw this, the same flower I am drawing here, it is the uncoiled part, and here is the female flower which has reached on the surface with its stigma exposed. So on this stigma, these pollen, now whenever the female flower reaches on the top, the male flowers will be carried with the help of current. Okay, the anther will dehesize to release the pollen grains. And these pollen grains, specifically, they will be carried by the water bodies up to the stigma of the female flower. Okay, so originally if you see, both the male and female flowers are present below the surface of the water, but for the process of pollination, the male flowers will be released on the surface of the water, and here also the female flowers will be the stalk, because the style will elongate itself. The coiled part is going to become straight. As a result, the female flower reaches on the top of the water surface, and here the process of pollination will be completed. Once the pollen grains, they start germinating, again the female flower will coil itself and the fertilization will take place inside. But pollination is taking place on the water surface, and the pollen grains are carried by the water up to the female flowers. Again, it will be a type of hydrophily, that is, water is acting as a pollinating agent, and the mechanism is called as epihydrophily, or it can be called as epihydrogam. So this is the difference in the way in which the pollination takes place in Zostera, that means within the water body, and here the pollination is taking place on the surface of the body. Now, whether the pollination takes place within the water body or on the surface, since water is acting as a pollinating agent, basically one common characteristic here will be the pollens, they are non-wettable. The reason being, they are covered by a mucilaginous covering. They all will have a mucilaginous covering, the pollen grain, so that they don't get wet. Even the parts of the flowers will be covered by mucilaginous covering, so that they don't get wet and they sink under the water. These are the mechanisms in which water is involved in aquatic plants for pollination. But there are certain examples where you see that aquatic plants pollinated by wind or insects. Again, aquatic plants, that means plants are present within the water bodies, okay, or on the surface of the water, but the pollinating agent is not water. Instead of water, it is either wind or insects. Example of such plants will include water hyacinth and water lily. These are the two plants which are aquatic in nature, that means they grow in water bodies, but then the pollinating agent instead of water is either wind or insects. So this is all about the hydrophily, in which water acts as a pollinating agent. Thank you.